What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster, and thank you for joining me for another Third Age Reforged replay battle. This time I have something completely different for you. This is a 4-person free-for-all battle. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the army compositions, then we can jump right into the glorious carnage. The first army is the army of Mordor, being commanded by Bobbington. He's got 4 units of Uruks, 4 units of Morgul Chosen, 2 units of Uruk archers hanging out here in the front of his battle line. He's also got 1 unit of Sauron's Will, 1 Nazgul, an Olokai, and a Troll Catapult over here, which you would think is the entirety of his force. This is a pretty substantial amount of units, but in fact, he has an entire hidden army back here in the woods. He's got 1 unit of Melkor's Chosen, 1 unit of Mounted Númenórean Shield Guard. You can see them hiding out right there. 2 units of Númenórean Shield Guard, 1 unit of Shadow Guard, 1 unit of Temple Guard, and to top it off, he's got a unit of Temple Inquisitors. This is a very scary flanking force, and I think he's going to use this to catch somebody off guard in a very big way, especially if these dwarves charge in heedlessly. So the second army is, of course, the army of the dwarves, being commanded by Super Sandwich number 1. He's got 2 units of Ironfoot Wargoats, 2 units of Axemen of Erebor, 4 units of Khazad Orc Hunters here in the front. These are a little bit less durable than the very popular Ironfoot Crossbowmen, but they do give you the advantages of that a bow brings with it, of course, so the extra range and that sort of thing. He's also got 4 units, I believe, of Khazad Warriors, 3 units of Ironfoot Guard, 1 Hammerus of Gundabad, 1 Ironfoot Hammer Guard, which I believe is where his general's hanging out. You can see him right there with his glorious red beard. He's also got 1 unit of Catapult. I'm pretty sure that's the entirety of his force. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army of Dale. This army is being commanded by Starling, and he has 1 unit of Mounted Dale Cavalry, which I think... No, this does not have his general in it. He's also got a ballista hanging out here behind the hill. He's got 3 units of Dismounted Earls. You can see them right there. 2 units of the Dale Swordmasters. 4 units, I believe, of Barding Herd. 2 units of Avari Archers. 2 units of Avari Pikemen. 1 unit of Royal Guard. 1 unit of Bardian Marksmen, and did I mention 2 Dale Swordsmasters? Yes, because he's definitely got those 2. The fourth, and final army is the army of Man of Huan Wei. He has 2 units of Variag Bowmen, I believe 2 units of Brotherhood of the Axe, but there could just be 1 in there. He's also got a couple units of Khamul Shadowbows. These guys are very, very powerful archers, akin to the Númenórean Shadow Guard of the Mordor factions. He's also got, I believe, 4 units of Clan Guards, so it's a very substantial anti-cavalry, anti-armor force. And hiding out in the back here, he's also got 2 units of Loke Inas Rim, 1 unit of Brotherhood of the Lance, so a lot of cavalry, 2 units of Loke Scion Rim, and 2 units of Loke Flag Rim to flesh out his battle line a little bit with something with shields. And I'm pretty sure that's the entirety of the forces. No, he's also got a ballista hanging out over here too. Check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start the battle. We're going to speed up just a little bit. You can see the Mordor catapult now moving into position to begin bombarding the runic player as he tries to move away from Mordor. And I think he's going to go over and try and engage Starling. But oh no, looks like Bobbington now turning around his catapult, potentially looking to take some shots at those Earls down there in the middle. It's a very tempting target. Starling's cavalry a little bit out of position, and definitely well within range, I think, of the skirmish line of Man of Huan Wei. So if he's careful, he might find himself losing quite a lot of archers very, very quickly. Let's see what we got over here. No skirmish fight really materializing between these 2 armies just yet. Oh no, here we go. Now it's time to begin. As Man of Huan Wei moves into position, these Avari Elder Archers are going to begin opening fire and make them pay for every step. Look at this, moving in immediately with his Clan Guard. This, I think, is a bit of a mistake, because these guys are going to take so much indirect fire from the Avari Elder Archers. And you can see them. Look at this. They're just putting a hurt on these Shadow Bows. So I think Man of Huan Wei sees what's happening, and he's going to begin to pull back his forces and try and preserve their numbers for a little bit later in the battle. Big blocky formations, though. This is definitely, I think, a mistake when it comes to the skirmish fight. I've said it many times that spaghetti lines is the way to go if you have the room for it. So yeah, it would appear that the skirmish fight definitely in favor of the Dale player at this point, who was definitely in position while Man of Huan Wei was forced to come to him, which is definitely a disadvantage for the attacking player. Over here, Mordor is content to just kind of hold pretty. They have an army down here in the woods, as I showed you earlier, so I think they really want the dwarves to come to them. Although it looks like a little bit of movement here. So he's giving away his position, so now the Dwarven player knows that he does have some hidden units in here, so I think that's a little bit of a mistake, giving away the game a little bit too early before the dwarf player has a chance to commit. Over here you can see the dwarf player moving in a couple units of his Ironfoot Wargoats, which undoubtedly is what Starling is moving, or Bobbington rather, is moving his cavalry in response to. It looks like he's got a 3rd unit of cav, actually. I didn't see these guys hiding out back there. He's got a unit of mounted Temple Inquisitors, and looks like he's trying to menace these Ironfoot War Goats with them. And it would appear that it's worked. They don't really want a piece of that cavalry unit. I think maybe he's a little bit afraid of what Starling may have waiting for him down in the woods, now that he's seen that there is potentially a cavalry ambush waiting for him down in that back line. Yeah, these two armies just really content to stare at each other right now, just kind of moving and feeling out the other's positions with their cavalry. Over here, the skirmish fight still going on. These Avari Elder Archers taking a few casualties. Oh, this one has taken quite grievous casualties, in fact. But I got the feeling that they've definitely given as good as they've gotten. Look at this unit of Camel Shadowbows, a very valuable archer unit, just lying in ruin here on the battlefield. Many of them have fallen to the skirmish fire from the Dale of Avari archers. So far, though, it seems like he's managing to turn it around a little bit. I think a lot of Dale's archers were focused on this one Camel Shadow Guard unit, trying to focus fire it down. But in the meantime, the rest of his army is focusing, would appear, on the Royal Guard and the Barding Marksmen. And at one point, I think that would have been the Shadow Guard shooting at these guys. But yeah, he's focusing down the rest of his army while the Dale player focuses on just one of his units of skirmishers. Also, you can see a little bit of movement going on over here. It appears that the War Goats still trying to feel out. No, those are actually the Temple Inquisitors. Now about to be backed up by some Numenorian Shadow Guard. But it seems like they're still trying to menace that Dwarven right flank with their cavalry. So these Ironfoot War Goats have now pulled back to the safety of their archers and their army, hoping to potentially draw the Mordor player into an engagement within range of his archers, of his Khazad Orc Hunters, which I think would go very, very poorly for that Mordor Cav. I don't think Bobbington's going to take that bait. Scooting back over here, looks like we have a little bit of movement in terms of the infantry. Look at this, a very large general charge from the Clan Guard, now moving forward to engage these Elder Avari pikemen and these Barding Herd in close combat. This is the Clan Guard definitely have the numbers, and they have a lot of AP, and they're not terrible units, so this could really go either way. Especially, looks like Rune rather is trying to pull him back a little bit farther, not wanting to take that engagement. Right in the middle here, I think this would be okay. They definitely would have a hill advantage if they were to attack now, and they could potentially even surround this unit. These two units, rather, of Barding Herd, but I think he might be pulling them back towards his archers to kite them just a little bit more. Yeah, in fact, there are two units of Brotherhood of the Axe here. Look at this. This is going to be a really tough fight for Dale. Look at this. These guys are very bunched up. A big flank attack going in here. It looks like he's going to pin down these two units of Barding Herd. I think he's going to use that opportunity to move in the rest of his infantry. At least I hope that's what he's doing. These poor Clan Guard now are really out of position and unsupported, in danger of being surrounded by Barding Herd and of Elder Avari pikemen. Look at this. These guys have now exposed their flank to this unit of Clan Guard. He needs to get these guys in here very quickly before that unit routs. Over here you can see a big charge by the Brotherhood of the Axe into the front of these Barding Herd. This is going to be a brutal slaughter in favor of the Brotherhood of the Axe. Absolutely. Oh no, you can see Starling's ballista now beginning to put some fire into this very valuable unit of Brotherhood of the Axe. If he loses a unit of Barding Herd and manages to take down half this unit with his ballista, that is definitely a fair trade-off for the Dale player. How are we doing over here? These Brotherhood of the Axe just carving these Barding Herd a new one. There's now some archer support coming in from the side of Rune. Another unit of Clan Guard now moving into the battle. Look at this big general engagement here. The Dale force is unfortunately a little bit too clumped up, I think. They had the advantage early on when they managed to surround this unit, but they are now finding themselves surrounded in turn by the rest of Rune's infantry. So that might have actually been intentional on the part of the Runic player to kind of sucker Starling out of position. Let's see what we got over here. This, a very brutal fight here that looks like it's in favor of the Clan Guard, who definitely have the numbers and the power to beat down these Barding Herd. The Barding Herd, unfortunately, aren't quite as strong as you would think they are just by having a look at them. But they will hold these guys in place long enough, it would appear, for Starling to skirt some of his infantry around into the backs of them. Oh no, look at this. Some of the Loke Unas Rim now charging into these Dale Swordmasters. That is just devastating for this unit. These guys will probably push these Loke Unas Rim back. There is enough of them. But that's definitely not what you want to have happen to your infantry. Charge from behind like that from a very powerful Cataphract unit. Yeah, things definitely looking like they're in favor of the Rune player right now. You can see a rout beginning to materialize in the center here as the Dale forces find themselves progressively farther and farther pushed back. Now, look at this. Some of the heavies being committed to the battle. Starling mobilizing some of his reserves to meet this threat. Still firing away with his ballista in the back there. Oh, look at this. a very large amount of Barding Herd now fleeing back for the safety of the Allied lines. I don't think that the Avari Elder Pikemen on their own are going to be able to hold back the storm. Look at this. They're going to be very easily outflanked, I think. Over here you can see Starling has committed his Earls deep within. I don't think there's a hidden unit of Camel Shadow Guard as well. But he's committed his reserves deep within the enemy lines here, and he's beginning to beat back some of these Clan Guard, I believe, with his unit of Dales. But again, suffering from being far too clumped up, not really able to leverage the numbers of this very powerful heavy infantry unit. Oh, look at this! Over here, it would appear that we have a bit of a cavalry engagement going on here. The mounted Temple Inquisitors alongside the Melkor's Chosen. And, oh no, the Shadow Guard have now surrounded both of these units of War Goats. The Dwarves really had a nice cavalry force, and that's just getting cut to shreds over here by the forces of Bobbington. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much the end for these Ironfoot War Goats. That is very unfortunate. He had, that he let them get so far away from the army, and now they were unsupported, and they've just been completely cut down. I think he still has his unit of Ironfoot Hammer Guard, though, but, yeah, he's got a very powerful unit over here. The Hammer Guard will definitely do work, even against all of those troops, but they needed to support each other, those two units of Cav. Look at this. There is some help kind of moving into the area, but unfortunately it's way too late for those Ironfoot War Goats, who are completely shattered, and I don't think we're going to see anything more from them in this battle. And now, this unit of Axemen of Erebor really isolated, just out here in the field, just absolutely easy prey for these units of heavy cavalry, and I think Bobbington will probably take that engagement. That's a very juicy target over there. He may just be waiting for them to pull a little bit farther so that he can engage this unit without fear of the Khazad Orc Hunters in the back. But it looks like the Dwarf player now sees what's happening, has seen the demise of his War Goats, and is going to begin to move these Axemen of Erebor back towards the lines. But it looks like Bobbington is going to take the bait here after all, and begin to move in some of his Mounted Temple Inquisitors. But I think we're going to see these Khazad Orc Hunters over here begin to wind up and fire in support of those Axemen of Erebor. Even so, this is a brutal frontal charge from the front, although it looks like that charge wasn't as effective as Bobbington might have hoped it would be. And I think a lot of these Temple Inquisitors and Shadow Guard are going to go down in a very doomed charge. And at the same time, over here you can see this unit of Melkor's Chosen now. Oh my goodness. They're going in for another charge, but they were kind of out there and isolated and just were sitting out in the field and beginning to get pummeled with arrows. Oh man, these Axemen of Erebor are standing their ground a lot better than I would have thought against all that heavy cavalry. So it looks like Bobbington's cavalry now looking pretty worse for wear. These three units now quite heavily reduced, and I don't think his shield guard is right there, but now his cavalry is down to a shadow of its former glory. They were definitely in good shape when they managed to take down all these War Goats, but he needs to preserve them because he still has to deal with that unit of Hammer Guard. See what we got over here. Speaking of the Hammer Guard, look at this. Looks like they're taking a bite out of the Dale infantry. I think they charged this unit of Earls. Now they're just beginning to run the rest of them down. Rune here definitely in command of this area. I think Dale has begun to... No, actually, I don't think there is a Dale anymore. Look at this. Dale's ballista has been completely destroyed. And the last of his infantry now beginning to be surrounded by Men of One Way's runic forces. This is very, very unfortunate for the Dale player. Yeah, you could just see the remains of his forces just scattered all about this hill unit of Avari Elder Pikemen, fighting to the death against these Clan Guard, but just, it's a sacrifice that I think is going to be in vain. There's really no one left for them to save at this point. Oh man, those pikes just got absolutely massacred. They just got run through by that runic heavy infantry, and now the Rune player is moving onto this little lip here to take a strong position in defense, waiting to see who is the victor in this engagement over here in the west. You can see now Mordor beginning to move his forces forward. Those Uruk archers leading the way. These Khazad Orc hunters beginning to fire upon them, but at the same time he's moving back the rest of his cavalry. And there goes Starling's general, hacked down by Kamul the Easterling, one of the infamous 9 riders of Sauron. Yeah, these Khazad Orc hunters now falling back in the face of potential Uruk archer advance. I think, again, this is a problem that I see a lot. Spaghetti lines definitely need to be formed, because anything that misses, well, there is no missing against a unit that is blocked up like this. Any arrows that miss like the first 5 units is still going to hit something, and going to lose an archer for what I think is no reason. Couple units here of Axemen of Erebor. Not too sure what they're doing out here in the front lines. Looks like they're progressively trying to fall back, or he's trying to form a box here and kind of shadow his archer, or shield his archers rather, from the menace, still posed by Bobbington's cavalry over here. You can see some of the mounted Numenorian shield guards beginning to move forward. And I think they kind of want to take a piece of these Khazad Orc Hunters who are getting a little bit overextended. Look at this. There's at least 2 units here who are moving in to face these Uruk archers who are beginning to pelt them. Oh, there goes the Ironfoot Hammer Guard falling in battle against some of the Brotherhood of the Lance. But these Khazad Orc Hunters really overextended, and I think we're going to see a flank charge here by Bobbington. Yeah, look at this. He's going to get in there, and he's going to be able to get out before these Axemen of Erebor can react. The dwarves are not fast enough to deal with these kinds of lightning strikes, so you definitely need to keep them supported at all times. Look at this. The cavalry just going to run right through here, skirt away, and escape before any of the reinforcements can come to save them. Although, no, actually, some of them are going to get caught here. Bobbington's trying to get away, but some of his horsemen ended up getting caught on that unit. Oh my goodness, look at this. This could be devastating. Oh, that formation, though, that really lends itself to being devastated by a catapult. He needs to kind of form up into something a little bit wider here so that those kinds of devastating attacks into the middle of a unit are not going to continue to happen. Again here, another unsupported charge here by these Khazad warriors getting way too far ahead of their friends. This really exposes the rear of this unit to some attacks from these remaining mounted warriors over here. I think his Shadow Guard is still hanging out in the area somewheres. Yeah, look at them. They're in the back now, silencing the Dwarven catapult. This is disastrous for the Dwarven player. I think Mordor definitely has the advantage in this engagement. The Dwarven player having a lot of trouble pinning down these mounted Numenorian shield guard. And look at this, another charge into the rear of his Khazad Orc Hunters, beginning to reduce his ranged advantage. He definitely had a huge ranged advantage, but now it is greatly diminished because of the relentless attacks of the Mordor player. Oh my goodness, what are we going to see here? Nope, nothing. A little bit disappointing. More Khazad warriors now moving forward, trying to get within range of, or underneath the range rather, of that catapult. But charging into battle like this, they're just kind of lending themselves to being surrounded very easily by the Mordor forces, who have a much nicer formation. Over here, though, this is a little bit better. These guys are definitely going to push right through these Uruks. You can see these Uruks beginning to fall quite rapidly to the axes and the fierce determination of these Khazad warriors. Yeah, very brutal fight now going on in the middle between the, oh my goodness, between the dwarves and Mordor. Mordor taking another bite out of this Khazad unit, but it's just kind of charging into the back of them. Not really. He has a nice opportunity here to outflank this battle line, begin to push it back. At the same time, if he had kept his Ironfoot Hammer Guard over here, he would have them available to rush in and silence this troll catapult. But instead, I think he ended up losing them over here in combat against the Rune player in a very doomed charge, I believe. Yeah, you can see Rune beginning to form up here, form his skirmish lines, what remains of his archers. He did take down Dale, but it looks like Dale fought back, fought hard until the very end. We got over here. Is that the? That looks like the general. No, that's just one of the Ironfoot Hammer Guard. Okay, it's not the actual general. Yeah, his cavalry now quite reduced. His cavalry, his infantry, and his archers all now very reduced. He's going to have to really hope that the dwarf player can put the hurt on Mordor, because look at this. Mordor still has so many healthy units of warriors still ready to throw into battle against Rune. I think at this point, especially with, look at this, all of these forces still lying in wait back here, that, oh no, now they are beginning to move, and I think the other players are really starting to panic, because Bobbington, like I was saying, has the forces to fight both of them at once, and I think be very successful. Although over here in the center, things looking definitely a little desperate. I think Bobbington is now moving up his Numenorians to try and support his center, because the dwarves are slowly but surely beginning to punch through the numbers of these Uruks. Yeah, you can see these. This is definitely not a good idea. He's already got the advantage here. He could just outflank these guys with that unit of Ironfoot Guard, but he's just kind of like committing them all into this one big blob, which is definitely asking to be destroyed. Oh my goodness, I can see some ballista fire coming in from the Rune player into this troll catapult. Looks like he managed to take down one of the trolls, but I think most of the artillery piece is now intact. This is a bit of a setback for Bobbington. Oh no, there goes one of his catapults. Very sneakily done by Man of One Way. This is a really nice flank attack that's going to, I think, very quickly devastate this troll catapult unit and eliminate one of the biggest advantages that Mordor has over the two other players. Oh, very close here. I think we're going to see the destruction of this catapult unit very quickly. He's not going to be able to form up in time to turn the catapults around and get any returning fire into the ballista crew, who's just in a great position up there on that hill to wreak havoc on Mordor. And at the same time, it would appear that the dwarves are beginning to push through, so perhaps the tide is beginning to turn against Bobbington. Unless his reinforcements get here very quickly, he's going to find this force of Uruk's completely destroyed. So this is a bit of a mistake, I believe, on the part of Bobbington, not moving up the rest of his army with this Uruk kind of distraction force, because once he had pulled far away from the force, there's really no point for these guys to remain down here. They weren't going to be able to move into attack quick enough to really make the impact that I think he wanted to by hiding them back there in the woods. Yeah, so definitely left this force unsupported, and now he's starting to pay for it. Look at these dwarves rather, just pushing through these orcs, muscling on through, and looks like over here Bobbington's right, his center right, has been completely annihilated. Yeah, now some of these Ironfoot Guard are going to move in for a surround on these Sauron's Will, who are already struggling to fight this mass of Axemen of Erebor and Ironfoot Guard and everything else that the Dwarven player has thrown at him. These Khazad warriors now on the hunt, chasing down these Uruk archers, and you can see them fleeing across the field here, unable to hold this position. Bobbington is now going to have to fall back to hopefully up here to the hill and maybe make a stand and allow his Numenorians to come up here. But they are again out of position. Look at this. He's still got some archers left, which I think is going to be important. He might be able to begin to pepper the flank and rear of this huge blob of Dwarven troops, but he's definitely in a lot of trouble and struggling hard now, I think. See what the Rune player is doing. The Rune player just kind of biding his time. It looks like, oh wow, Bobbington committed his Olokai to this cause over here, and they're fighting hard against Loke Flag Rim Brotherhood of the Axe. But this is not a fight that those Olokai can win while so unsupported. Oh, I see what he was doing. He was going for the ballista, trying to shut it up and prevent it from destroying his troll catapult. He's got a real opportunity, I think, here, if he's still got any catapults left, to grab those catapults and to use them against the Rune player over here, but it doesn't look like he's going to have the opportunity. The Dwarf player, Super Sandwich, wanting to avenge some of his brothers who were exploded down there by that catapult, has now moved a unit of Hammerers Gundabad into the catapult and silenced it. I think for good. I can see a lot of the crew going down now. I don't think there's going to be enough of them left to really man it at this point. Oh no, he's still got 17 of them left, so that's not so bad. Yeah, you can see Bobbington now moving, trying to pick up his catapults and begin firing, I believe, at these Loke Flag Rim, potentially at the unprotected back of these Hammers of Gundabad. But I think his best bet is to try and silence either the ballista or to take a big bite out of Rune's remaining infantry. Over here you can see the Numenorians now moving into combat, looking to support what remains of those Sauron's Will in the center, down to a meager 33 units. I think they are firing now into that blob with his archers and moving in with these Numenorian Shadow Guard, who are armor piercing, and there's quite a lot of them. These are some of the best troops that Mordor has to offer. They have a lot of numbers and a lot of really nice stats. So I think he might be able to get a victory here over a large portion of the Dwarven army if he deploys his troops well. The Dwarven player has shown that he's inclined to blob up a little bit, so Bobbington could definitely use that to his advantage to try and surround this unit, or these multiple units, and to use superior positioning to destroy a large portion of the Dwarven elite forces. But it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. It would appear that Bobbington is in a little bit of trouble here, and he's not going to be able to surround these guys effectively enough to deal the damage that he needs to. He is raining arrows on them from two sides now, and you can see the rest of the Dwarven forces now mobilizing, moving forward. A lot of the Khazad Orc hunters, I think they might be out of ammunition, but if they charge into the rear and flank of those Numenorians, especially this unit of Khazad warriors here, there are quite a lot left in there, 97. If they surround those Numenorians, that's going to be the end of Bobbington's army, I believe. Yeah, there's some left over here fighting some Axemen of Erebor, but honestly, they're being pushed now on two different sides and overrun by Axemen of Erebor and these Hammers of Gundabad. Definitely a very dire situation for Bobbington. Luckily, he's got some Temple Inquisitors in here. These could be what he needs to turn the tide against this Dwarven infantry. Those Temple Inquisitors are very powerful, have a lot of hit points, and are armor piercing. And it looks like these Dwarven forces are a little bit tired, whereas these Temple Inquisitors just warmed up. So I think that they will cut through these guys very quickly. But things just go from bad to worse for Bobbington. The Rune player now, he smells blood. Man of Wan Wei moving into this area over here. This is now going to become a three-way engagement between the Dwarves, Mordor, and Rune. I think he's going to move to try and surround what remains of Bobbington's infantry over here, while the Dwarven player pushes him really hard against the shield on the other side. Still, if Bobbington has any cavalry left now, it'd definitely be the time to use them, but I think most of them have died, have fallen in combat fighting in the center against this now victorious blob of Dwarven warriors. These Khazad Orc Hunters still, there's a few of them left. There's this unit right here is looking real healthy, but definitely out of formation. It looks like he just kind of clicked them forward to attack this unit, and now they kind of defaulted this large column. If he focuses some of his, say, his Temple Guard on these guys, he will gun them down very, very quickly. Let's take a look over here. Look at these Ironfoot Guard now pushing against his Numenorean Shield Guard, but apparently these Numenorean Shield Guard are holding their ground, especially with all that archer support that they're receiving from those back lines. Yeah, it looks like this is where his archer's attention currently is, and I think that's probably the best choice, because otherwise this large body of infantry, his Numenoreans are going to take a lot of casualties. I think at this point they have the troops and the numbers to beat them, except maybe over here on this flank where they are starting to get pushed back. But he has the numbers to beat them, but he wants to try and preserve as many of those Numenoreans for a showdown with Rune as possible. It looks like we got some reinforcements here. Some Morgul Chosen from Bobbington coming into the rear of these Axemen of Erebor and Ironfoot Guard. Look at this. Some of the Khazad warriors now beginning to break. A unit of 64 did I see. Yeah, definitely a unit of 64 now fleeing for their lives. This is really, really significant. Without their general, these Dwarves are looking a little bit shaky, I think. Yeah, look at that. Quite a lot of Khazad warriors. That's a real shame for the Dwarf player. These Numenoreans now begin to overlap him on the other side. Things looking very desperate for the Dwarven player. It looks like he's trying to muscle his way through here. Try and push through these the numbers of the Numenorean Shield Guard, who are beginning to fall. Actually, this is a risky maneuver, trying to muscle your units through another unit of infantry. But it can pay off for you, and it looks like it is. He's managed to basically bisect Mordor's lines here, and I think Bobbington is now in a lot more trouble than he was just a moment ago. Oh, this poor unit of Numenorean Shield Guard here, now surrounded. This is going to be really, really bad for this elite infantry. Over here, though, look at this. Rune is now charged into battle against what remains of Bobbington's Morgul Chosen. Man of one way really wants this victory. He's going to take down, I think, Bobbington here, and there's really nothing that he can do about it. Just not enough of Bobbington's soldiers to fight him back, except over here where the Temple Inquisitors are. Look at this. It looks like there's some Brotherhood of the Axe in the back, but they are not numerous enough to really make a difference against these Inquisitors, who I think are going to hack down these Loke Flag Rim very, very quickly. Yeah, look at this. You can just see them dying left and right. What do we got over here? It's like a unit of Axemen of Erebor, a little bit out of position. Not sure how they managed to get back here. Oh no, there's Bobbington's general falling in battle with some Loke Scion Rim. Very unfortunate for the Mordor player. Luckily, most of his orcs, I think, are dead or routed, so his Numenoreans will hang around for a little bit longer, but still very unfortunate. Oh, now Rune's general falling in combat to some of the Ironfoot Guard. This is just an absolute bloodbath for all of the armies involved. Let's take a look here. Oh, no, nothing, no percentages to be shown on the balanced power today. Unfortunately for these Camel Shadowbows, about to get flanked by this unit of Axemen of Erebor, who have found their bearings and now charging after these very vulnerable units of medium archers. But it looks like they're fast enough now to get away, and at the same time, Rune, the runic player, man of one way, bringing up some reinforcements that I think are more than capable of dealing with those Axemen of Erebor. Look at this. Some Loke Flag Rim now charging into the front of them, pitting them down, while these Clans Guard and Camel Shadow Guard come in from the rear to seal their fate. Oh, look at this. They're actually getting peppered from behind by a very tiny unit of Variag Bowmen. These poor Axemen of Erebor, look at this, already beginning to waver, and now they are routing, and that's going to be the end of that infantry force. Over here, things have gone pretty well for the runic player. He's now pushing through Bobbington's units of Nazgul, who these guys will hold their ground for a little while. They have like 8 hit points or something absurd like that, doing a lot of damage. Look at this, another one of his spearmen going down in combat to that ferocious Nazgul. But ultimately, I think this is going to turn in favor of the runic player very quickly. Let's go take a look over here. Let's see what's going on. The Temple Guard, and now some Numenorean Shadow Guard, who look like they're now out of ammunition. Those Morgul Chosen, I think, are fresh from a victory over those Dwarven forces. Oh no, these Dwarven forces have largely retreated now. It looks like both sides decided that this was not an engagement that was in their interest. Now they have pulled back. Oh, these poor Shadow Guard here. Look at this, down to 17 and 37. Yeah, Bobbington's infantry force really looking worse for wear at this point. And his Shadow Guard now taking some shots from the remaining Khazad Orc Hunters. Wow, this really turned around through some very, very nicely picked fights on the part of the Dwarven and Runic players. Look at this now, this unit of Loke Flag Rim trying to charge into combat against what remains of these Numenorian Shield Guard, who are, it looks like they're going for a bit of a surround. There's not very many of them, but they are gonna try and leverage their positioning against the Runic player. Oh, never mind. These guys are just gonna go for these Camel Shadow Guard. That's gonna be a very bad engagement for them, I think. Only 13 of them left. You can see them already shaken. They're not gonna last too long. Oh wow, these Temple Guard though, look at them. Fighting hard against these Loke Scion Rim, really giving them the business. Even with these, oh look at this, even with these Camel Shadow Guard now moving in to support them. Oh, never mind, actually they're going for the Numenorian Shadow Guard. Look at this, hacking these guys down. These are all, I believe, like various kinds of black Numenorians, brother against brother, fighting for some unknown cause. Oh, those poor Shadow Guard just getting hacked down. Bobbington now moving in his unit of Numenorian Shield Guard against this 12-strong unit. Pretty even numbers here. Equal number of Numenorians on either side, and they're both kind of considering routing at this point. I think it's going to be the Shadow Guard who blink first, however, with all of those archers. Yeah, look at this. The Shadow Guard now completely annihilated and are going to flee in the face of these Numenorians with, I'm not too sure where those arrows came from. It looks like the Shadow Guard managed to retreat. Oh, but look at this! Starling's still in the fight! He's got a unit of Dale Swordmasters. I don't know where they came from, but they are now chomping this Numenorian Shadow Guard unit. Starling back from the grave to cut down some Numenorians. I did not expect that whatsoever. I thought he was totally gone. Bobbington now sees the threat. He's going to try and move in some Numenorian Shadow Guard to support those, or his Shield Guard, to support his Shadow Guard, who are now fleeing for their lives in the face of this surprise attack from Starling. Without support, though, I don't think these guys are going to be able to fight. Oh, look at this. The Dwarf player not letting Bobbington get off so easily. Moving in some of his Khazad Orc Hunters to try and pin down the Shield Guard. Bobbington desperately trying to get his troops out of there, trying to save some of them. But I don't think it's going to work out very well for him. Oh, no. Looks like the tide is turning now. This Khazad Orc Hunter is routing these Dale Swordmasters, now kind of bogged down in combat, with some of the stragglers from the Numenorian Shadow Guard and these Shield Guard who have now come in to support them. What exactly do we have going on over here? It looks like there is a significant portion of Dale's forces left. A couple units of Avari Elder Archers and one unit of Barding Marksmen. This is not what I expected at all. I thought Dale was dead and gone, but apparently he is back from the dead and ready to kick some butt. These Numenorian Shadow Guard have just suffered so grievously, trying to maneuver away from these relentless attacks from Rune and the Dwarves and Dale Swordmasters, now only to be ambushed from the rear by a couple units of Elven Archers. Very, very grim for Bobbington. I don't think he's going to be able to come out the victory. It seemed like it was a very, very clear advantage in favor of Bobbington, but all of these other players now have banded together to beat him down, and I think this is going to be the end of his army right here. His Temple Inquisitors now, I think, the only real threat that Bobbington has left on the field. Now starting to take some flank shots from that ballista. Oh my goodness, look at this. Barely managing to escape that time. Oh, the Rune player actually hitting some of his own troops. Although defeat is still apparently a possibility for the Loke Flag Rim. These Temple Inquisitors are not to be underestimated even in a pinch like this. See what we got going on over here. These Loke Scion Rim have now fallen in the face of these Temple Guard. So actually Bobbington does have another unit of Numenorians still on the field. And I think he could leverage them to great effect against these Loke Flag Rim. Or he could use them to charge at these Camel Shadow Bows, take these guys out quickly, ruin Rune's Archer Forts, and then move on towards silencing this Ballista. But of course that is very, very risky, because it will put him into the teeth of this Ballista unit, and these Archers as well. Looks like that Ballista is now starting to take some shots at these Shadow Guards, taking down quite a lot of them. Looks like, yeah, about 4 of them have fallen to some Ballista shots. So Bobbington's going to move them in to flank these Loke Flag Rim, try and destroy them as quickly as possible, and then move over in force with both of his units of Numenorians to destroy what remains of Rune's army. Rune is now definitely on his last legs as well, man of one way. Very carefully chose his engagement, but unfortunately I don't think he had the troops really to come out on top in this battle. I'm not sure where these Dale forces came from, but they're honestly one of the most powerful forces still left on the field. These Dwarves really not able to pin down these units of archers who are just kind of running away and skirmishing them to death. This is really unfortunate for the Dwarven player. I don't even know where the rest of his army is at this point. Oh yeah, it looks like there's a significant number of infantry. Actually, no, I take that back. The Dwarven player, look at this, a full unit of Ironfoot Guard. think this is definitely going to go in favor of the dwarf player, unless the other players can kind of put aside their differences and do to the dwarf player what they did to Bobbington. Otherwise, I think the dwarves are going to come out on top in this battle by a significant margin. And it looks like that might be what they're trying to do. Rune now sees who the real threat is, moving in some of his shadow bows to try and pepper down those dwarven units. But I don't think he's got the armor or the numbers to do it at this point. Although, really, the big threat he has to offer the dwarven unit is this ballista right here. He can do a lot of work if it's left to its own devices. But I don't think the dwarven player is going to let him do that. He's still got some missiles left, apparently, and he's going to try and use them against the shadow balls to pin them down. And if he's smart, he'll use them to focus down that ballistic unit because it has nowhere left to hide and zero support. Moving on over here, let's take a look at how the last of the runic infantry is doing against the Numenorians. Apparently, they are not doing very well at all, as the Numenorians now free to move against the dwarven player. I hope that these guys are going to kind of come to an agreement on who they need to fight, because these Numenorians are going to be essential, I think, in cracking the hard nut that is the dwarven player. And it looks like Rune. No, these are Starling's archers now, moving in support of the Numenorians who they were attacking earlier to try and skirmish down this dwarven force that is now retreating in the face of this new alliance. Looks like some Starling archers shadowing these dwarves on their left flank, peppering them with arrows as they move towards what would appear to be the end of the map. Looks like they're going to try and like. Oh no, they've still got quite a ways to go, so they're looking for a more advantageous position to hide their army. Although apparently they've given up on that prospect and are now moving over here towards the archers who are shooting them. This is really, really unfortunate for the dwarves. They're now kind of surrounded on all sides by arrows. Let's see what the runic player here is doing. Yeah, he's going over to kind of block the dwarves in on this side and just continue to pepper them down and try and make a dent in this very formidable dwarven infantry block that is still remaining. Let's go ahead and let's speed it up just a little bit. Speed up to about 6 times. See what happens here. Definitely down to the last stages of the battle. Oh, look at this. A big charge coming in here. Bobbington's Temple Guard moving in while the other 2 players support him with archers moving in against these Ironfoot Guard. This is one of the more tired and reduced units of Ironfoot Guard. So Bobbington's Temple Guard might do pretty well against them. These Khazad Orc Hunters now charging into battle against these Numenorians, who I think are out of ammunition for the most part. Those Uruk archers now fleeing like cowards, where these Numenorians are willing to stand and fight. And for how much longer, I can't be sure. Yeah, the dwarves really have the troops left to fight all 3 of the remaining forces at once, and that is definitely what they're doing, pushing now against each force individually. Oh, this is very unfortunate. A little bit of a betrayal here. The runic ballista indiscriminately firing into this block of infantry right here by the catapult, and I think he's taking down as many Temple Guard as he is of the Ironfoot Guard. Let's see what's going on over here. It looks like Starling's army fleeing in the face of the Ironfoot Guard down to 133. So these archers are starting to slowly have an effect on these dwarven numbers, but they're just. Oh, looks like they're trying to turn around and fire another volley. But I don't think this is the best idea. Those dwarves are in the middle of a charge, so they are going to be able to catch these guys, and they're just going to cancel the volley at the last moment. And look at that. Those very swift elves going to be able to escape from these Ironfoot Guard for the meantime. Well, here, let's see what's going on. These Temple Guard and what remains of the Temple Inquisitors moving in to attack this unit of Ironfoot Guard, charging into the front and flank of these Ironfoot Guard, but that leaves this unit over here by the catapult free to do as they wish with these runic archers. So I think they're going to start to give chase, but again, he's going to get himself into a similar position that he is with Starling on the other side, where his very heavily armored infantry are not able to keep pace with these very swift medium archers. And at the same time, look at that, more fire coming in from that ballista. I think that's probably what they're gonna see it over here pretty quickly, and then turn around and attack the ballista, because this is really the biggest threat here. These archers are just kind of being used to kite him for the time being. Let's see how we're doing over here. Well, these Bardian marksmen fighting against some of the Axemen of Erebor. I think it's looking pretty even for these troops. The Bardian marksmen might even have the necessary numbers to come out on top against the Axemen of Erebor. But I don't know, it says victories seem certain for both sides, so it's hard to say. When we got over here, it looks like these Ironfoot Guard managed to catch that unit of our Elder Archers who are just getting butchered in melee combat against this heavily armored Dwarven infantry unit. They are getting peppered from the other side with the other unit of Avari Elder Archers, but I don't think it's going to be enough to destroy. Look at this, 120 Ironfoot Guard. That's just... He's got too many troops left now at the end of this battle. A little bit of a staring competition going on between this final Dale Swordsmaster and this one unit of Ironfoot Guard. They're both just kind of shell-shocked, confused, staring at each other, whereas the rest of these guys now coming over to see what's going on and take down this Dale Swordmaster. Let's take a look at that duel. A very short-lived duel, getting hacked down almost immediately by the dwarf who was staring at him just a moment ago. Over here, I don't think there's really any action left to be seen. I can't quite find the rest of the runic troops. Oh no, this poor ballista now getting flanked by this unit of Ironfoot Shadow Guard, being peppered from the rear by the remains of Rune's archers, but I really think that victory is now a foregone conclusion for the Dwarven player. Let's go take a look at how things are going over here. Starling still kiting with his Avari Elder Archers down to a mere 40. Over here, let's see how things are doing. These Axemen of Erebor now beginning to push through the Barding Marksmen. Maybe I spoke too soon. The Bardings never really had a hope and a prayer at all of fighting these Axemen of Erebor in close combat for a prolonged period of time. And you can see that's third unit, I suppose, of Ironfoot Guard, the very healthy one, 119 of them now moving in. Those Barding Marksmen see this and begin to flee off the field. Starling now trying to kite with his last unit of Avari Elder Archers, but honestly, it's a futile gesture. The dwarves have definitely won this. Let's go take one last look over here and see how Rune's archers are doing. Still firing into those Ironfoot Guard. They haven't really managed to take any of them down at this point, unfortunately. And those Ironfoot Guard now closing ranks with the remaining runic archers. I think one of the way will probably just let his guys sit in combat against the Ironfoot Guard. There's really nothing left that they can hope to do against all of these Dwarven units. Although it looks like he is still trying to skirmish. But I'm going to fast forward a little bit here, and I will see you guys in a moment. And here you have it, one of the final engagements of this battle. Starling committing his now out of ammunition Avari Elder Archers to battle against this exhausted unit of Axemen of Erebor. There's quite a lot of these guys, and they are fresh, so you know what, with this downhill charge, maybe they'll have what it takes to see these Axemen of Erebor off finally and for good. It says victory is now certain for these Axemen of Erebor. I think they're starting to cut down these elves. They are fairly heavily armored, but honestly, I don't think it's enough to beat these Axemen of Erebor, even exhausted in close combat. Yeah, that's going to be the end of these Avari Elder Archers and the remaining Dale forces, who kind of just came out of nowhere and helped ambush Bombington, take down one of the strongest players in this game, and unfortunately, it paved the way for a crushing Dwarven victory. I think down here you can see the remains of these. No, this is the Ironfoot Guard. I'm not too sure where Rune's medium archers have gone off to, but they have definitely run away once and for all. I don't think we're going to see anything else from them the rest of the battle. So let's just take a look here. Take stock of all of the carnage that took place across this battlefield. Look at this. This was a mighty, mighty battle with a lot of shifting alliances. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I'm going to see you now at the post-battle screen in just a moment. And there you have it. It is a very nice victory for Super Sandwich and his dwarves. Really, really nicely played, keeping that unit of Ironfoot Guard back that really won the game for him. Look at this. Just so many kills on every side. It was just an absolute slaughter. Good game to everybody that played, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Coming up next is going to be our historical battle. We're going to be doing the second Kinslaying, the Sack of Doriath. Hope you guys stick around to see it. I'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.